Begin plans to launch Occupy Minneapolis in response to the unlikely upstart movement that captured the attention of the world in New York and at Wall Street. Now, a year later, we've expanded that energy and that vision from the plaza into the communities and neighborhoods that have been hardest hit by the foreclosure crisis. Since February of last year, we've won campaigns against some of the biggest financial institutions on the planet against all odds, and we've helped 7 families stay in their homes. So 2 months into the fight for Monique White's house, I remember coming home to find my mother crying in our living room. And it turned out she had received a notice from Citibank that she was in foreclosure and that the home that I grew up in, the home my brother and sister and my mother had lived in for 16 years, was to be auctioned off to the highest bidder. Even though she had the money to pay on the due date, they wouldn't accept the payment. Even though she had a good enough job to afford the payments, a union job as a nurse, they refused to modify the loan, even though she only had 6 years left to pay. I still remember the first thing she said to me: "Don't bring those occupiers over here." Boy, was she in for a surprise. She was completely paralyzed by the shame and the isolation that people feel as a result of this foreclosure crisis, even though it wasn't her fault. But she started to come to the homeowner meetings and meet people like Monique White and Ruby Brown and Bobby Hull and hear their stories about what the bank had done to them and that they were fighting back and that they weren't going to leave their homes without a fight. And as she heard those stories, she started to realize that maybe what was happening to her isn't something she should be ashamed of, and that if anybody should be ashamed, it's the banks who crashed our economy through fraud and theft of our homes. And so from on stage at the block party from Bobby Hull, she committed then and there to stand and fight for her home last February. And I can say today that because of the community pressure and because she decided to stand up, we received a loan modification just 20 hours before our home was to be sold. Woo! There's no doubt in my mind that without the Occupy movement, my family and many families like mine would have been out on the streets and would have given up a long time ago. And for that, we owe an incredible debt to everyone who's ever helped out, who signed a petition, who's door knocked, who's canvassed, who's phone banked, anyone who's stood with families fighting for foreclosure. We owe you a great debt, and we thank you. We've helped to build and strengthen a national network of groups fighting for housing justice and helped to pioneer one of the most enduring projects of the Occupy movement with your help. We've earned national and international media attention that's amplified stories of homeowners fighting against the banks and changing the narrative of one from individual shame to the need for systemic change and the need for a different kind of system that puts the needs of human beings before the profits of Wall Street and the big banks. We've challenged the notion that housing is a commodity to be bought and sold, and we've asserted that it's a right and a human right, that safe and equitable housing is something that every human being deserves. But now we need your help more than ever to help grow this movement to become a truly mass movement with the power to challenge the big banks and corporations that have hijacked our economy and our democracy. We know that winning one home at a time can make a big impact, but for us to achieve radical change that goes to the core of why families are in foreclosure in the first place, we need to create a model that's scalable and that has the potential to unite homeowners who are in foreclosure with homeowners who are underwater, with tenants, and with homeless families. That's why on December 6th, on the anniversary of the Occupy Home's first National Day of Action, we're launching a bold new initiative to create a foreclosure-free zone in Central and Powderhorn neighborhood in South Minneapolis that will enact a moratorium on all foreclosures and eviction through direct democracy and direct action to defend our homes against Wall Street's greed. Are you ready to stand up for your neighbors and for your communities? Great. So there's 3 important things that you can do to make this vision a reality. First of all, we're a volunteer-driven organization that surprisingly the big banks and large foundations don't want to fund. it's really important that we have grassroots support to keep this work going, and that's why we want to ask anyone here tonight who can make a donation, please do that. Every donation you give goes a long way to helping us sustain this work. You know, to help get the foreclosure and eviction-free zone off the ground, we want to hit every single door in those 2 neighborhoods, so we need help canvassing. Please come see us at the table when this is over. Sign up to get more information and stay involved and really help us to make this dream a reality and to make housing an equitable and safe place for everyone instead of a commodity, but to make it a right for everyone. Thank you so much.